Oh, yeah. Shit's dope. Thank you.
And we're live. I swear to God.
Ish.
I wasn't sure that was going to happen tonight. That seemed like the slowest transition in history. But we are here. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much. To all of our fans that are in the middle of the country, that the giant swath of storms is going through right now. Be safe tonight. McTaggart is not going to join us tonight because he is in the path of the storms and just doesn't need the stress of dealing with all that while doing the live stream. So it's just going to be me and Crosby and Wickman tonight, but we have a special guest. Cool. And Andrew with Ridiculoose. If you haven't watched his YouTube channel yet, when you do, you'll understand that he's insane.
Insane or just really not smart?
He's about as crazy as the rest of us, let me tell you. He is building what may be quite possibly the rustiest 68 Mustang in the history of mankind. He is seeing if he can build a Dynacorn body one piece at a time. And so I'm telling you, dude, you do really nice work, but you are crazy. I was glad that Charles said you were going to be on the show tonight, but it changed the direction I wanted to go with tonight's episode. So I'm really glad because it's one that I've been wanting to do, which is how do you choose a project car? Some tips and tricks for people that are looking to get their first project car, because there are a lot of things that we have all bought. I see that my boy Sean Calloway has joined Crosby in the shop as well tonight. Sean knows about buying project cars. He and I have built a few together over the years. So we're going to talk about project cars. We're going to talk about Andrew's project in particular, and then talk about some other fun stuff as we go along. So welcome to the show, dude. We're glad to have you.
I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and super stoked. It's gonna be fun.
What has this project been like for you as far as the channel? I mean, you're one of these guys that's got a small channel, great videos, really loyal following. So what does a project like this do for you?
Well, it started out like we'll get it running good enough to get home, and it quickly became not that. It was just things kept popping up, and when I first saw the car, I was really excited, and I kind of went, this thing is going to be all sorts of trouble. It's like when you see, you know, there's a girl with the crazy eyes kind of thing, and you're like, that whatever, and it's I just knew I was in for kind of a ride, and no matter what, I was like, it's going to be fun. I guess apart from the crazy eyes part of it, I figured it would be a learning experience, and there was a lot of stuff that I had aspired to do, like learning more about fabrication and welding. It was more of a catalyst to kind of push myself into all these different realms of building cars. Like I had started really diving deep into projects and putting cars together with my 15 Mustang, the Verdict. I wanted to, I had the idea that I was going to make it faster and maybe go drag and drive with it, or, do some open lapping days or HPD kind of things. And I was looking for like a Tremec, and I was going to boost it. And I found a Tremec. It was attached to a 5.2 Voodoo motor out of a wrecked Shelby. And I went, well, for an extra $5,000, I get a Voodoo with the Tremec. So I'm going to go with that. Right. And I kind of started there. And from there, it went to, I got that going in like 35 days, drove it on Power Tour. After that, I built my 911 a little bit. I just did, dropped the engine out, did a bunch of stuff to it, and mods and fixes and things like that. And then I built my Subaru with an IAG forged closed deck block, a 6-speed swap out of an STI. Like the car is, it's sort of, how like the nicer roadkill cars would be, where they don't look amazing, but underneath they're just, they're friggin' crazy. Yeah. And that's sort of my hero car the last little while on the channel, aside from Felony being like the main project. But that sort of led me into this, where I saw it and went, I know there's going to be a lot of problems with it. I don't care if I tear it down and there's nothing left. Like I think I need this to keep growing. And at the same time, I was like, it'll be really good for my channel because I can connect with a lot of people that, they're not just Mustang people. They're welders, fabricators, Ford guys, Chevy guys. When I was thinking about an LS swap, and now BMW guys are actually really into it because I'm putting a BMW motor in it. And it connects me with all these people. And like you say, I do have a loyal following, and there's actually a lot of people that I've been talking with online and stuff. And it's been pretty cool to see how many people are into it and how many people are going through like, motivation things with their projects, and they're getting ideas from me, or I'm getting ideas from them. We're just talking and sharing. And that's kind of what I love about the whole thing, is actually interacting with everybody right now. And I think my channel is at a place where it's really easy to kind of go back and forth with everybody, because I do have such a, like, sort of my own little island, I guess, of people that, we talk all the time. I had a guy last night actually asking me about, he's been following me since I swapped the Voodoo in the Mustang, and he had wanted to do it for a while, and then he started to do it. So he found a 15 chassis, and he's like, I got a Voodoo out of a wreck. Like, where do I start? What do I do? And I've just been kind of talking with him, and he's like, dude, I really appreciate your time. And like, everybody's kind of like super like apologetic. Like, I don't want to waste your time and everything. And I'm like, no, like I wish somebody would talk to me when I was doing it like this much. So I just want to put that forward and be like, I'll help you with whatever you can pick my brain about, whatever I can help you with, because I think we kind of need that in the car community a lot.
Oh yeah.
So, it's just trying to roll the ball forward for everyone as much as I can. But that's more aside from the cars, seeing everything in the community that is a nice caveat to all this. And then the end of it, I get a car that I've restored and I get to track and have fun with. So
And Chad's muted.
Did you mute yourself, Chad? And he's gone.
And he's out.
Kicked
See you later.
himself off. So we
But
got
while
the show
Chad's
now.
out for a second, I'll touch on this. I watch a lot of YouTube. I mean, I don't really watch regular television, but my feed is all over the place. I mean, I'm on a kick where I'm watching a couple out of Singapore visit vending machines around Southeast Asia. Why, I don't know. But automotive content, Andrew's video on his when he did the Overcrest rally with the Subaru, that's what it popped in my feed, and I watched it and I was like, holy crap, this is like looking at the followers he has, and I was just kind of like, how does this guy not have like 100+ followers with the content he's putting out? And I went down the rabbit hole and seeing, I mean, there's all the different stuff he's worked on and done videos with. And then that was right when he got the Mustang, I believe, and started following that build, and was just kind of like, I was kind of like, oh, hey, he's got something cool. Then it's like, then seeing what he got into, I was just like, oh no, like this is painful almost. And
How bad is the Mustang, by the way?
It's you know, I have seen a lot worse, and I've seen a lot worse driving, which is kind of funny. You know, the car did run and drive before I tore it apart. I had it running and driving for maybe all of 48 hours before I ripped it apart.
Right.
But it was a vinyl top car. It's a 68 J-code Mustang, so it's a 302 C4 automatic. It was an air conditioning car, which was kind of weird. With the vinyl top and everything, it was like air conditioning was the only kind of option on it. It was very strange. I didn't Marty report everything. I just researched the VIN online, sort of deal.
Where was it sold from?
It was a San Jose car.
Really?
From what I understand. Yeah, I think so. Actually, I can't remember where exactly it was sold from.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm actually from the Bay Area, so that's funny if it's a San Jose car. San Jose was actually Milpitas. It really wasn't San Jose, but they called it San Jose. But the Ford plant there was torn down, in like the late 80s, I guess.
Yeah.
Mid to late 80s, mid 80s, something like that.
Made in San Jose. I apologize. It was made in San Jose. I can't actually remember where it was sold.
Oh, gotcha. I assumed you meant it was built there.
That's what he's saying.
There was. Milpitas. Yeah, it's actually Milpitas, but it's they called it San Jose, but it was actually in the city of Milpitas. But actually, and I say that maybe Milpitas wasn't an actual city yet when the Ford plant opened, but
I think that was all county.
But what year is your car? It's a 68, right?
68, yeah.
And it's a C4 automatic car, floor shifted, right?
Yeah.
It is entirely possible. If you know the month it's made, I can find this out. Like, he'll probably text me if he's watching. My dad installed the shifters in the automatic cars in 1968, I believe. It was either 67 or 8 at that plant. And diehard Chevrolet guy. I mean, diehard. Okay. So when you hear him tell the story, he's like, crooked, straight, I didn't care. You know, all 4 screws. But they were, back then, there was a dimple in the floor is all there was. There was no hole, just dimples. And they drove a self-threading screw into the dimple and it would thread the sheet metal. So yeah. It's hilarious. So anyway, it's entirely possible that is a car that my dad worked or helped build, which would be hilarious. So yeah,
if you have a straight shifter in it, it was on a good day.
Yeah, right.
Probably
all
Wednesday.
Crooked.
Wednesday.
Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday.
Yeah, right.
Monday and Friday.
Your selection was like kind of a suggestion for that car too. So.
Do you have any?
It was like, I think I'm in reverse.
Oh, there you go. I like that. I like that a lot. That's
Chad,
hilarious.
did he send you any pictures of said item?
I sent Chad a bunch of pictures.
Yeah, he did. Hold on, I'll pull him up. The
I'm curious.
oh yeah, here's the thing. It is not as rusty as some cars I've seen. That is absolutely
It's-
true.
It's
But
definitely not, but
what I find interesting about this car is how widespread the rust is. I guess that's the thing that I would say. I've seen cars where the entire back end of them is rusted off, or the entire
and
front
the
end.
front's
But
fine.
yeah, but this car is from nose to tail. There is rust somewhere. It's interesting, very
I think
interesting.
You
I
picked
think
a
a
good
lot of
one.
people are, yeah. I mean, it was. I will say the front for the firewall is actually completely rust free. There's no problems up there. Like I'm done the
Nice.
firewall and the cowl and everything now, and the torque boxes are all. The passenger side torque box is good. The driver side was toasted.
Ooh, there's a first
Uh,
for a Mustang.
Right?
Yeah.
Like usually you're just taking it all right apart, and I think torque box on the passenger side was not even a thing until like 67 or something like that, if I remember correctly. Or like they only came in convertibles on both sides. There was some weird thing. My friend Tom, he had a 67 fastback with number 4 off the production line Roush Coyote motor in it, and him and his dad, they've been restoring Mustangs for a really long time, like 25, 30 years or something like that.
They have
And so
medication to cure that now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But they've definitely been, for all the little nits of knowledge and everything like that. They're super resourceful for all that stuff. So I was picking their brains a little bit when I got the car and all that sort of stuff. But
Here, I'll show you. These aren't like any detailed shots, Crosby, but you'll be able to tell here, or see the car anyway. So yeah, so this is the new body style car is the one that you had the Voodoo motor in, right?
yeah, it's got a Voodoo and a 3160 backing it up, and then it's all
Nice.
just GT Mustang with Ride Tech level 2 coilovers.
Oh, nice. And
I don't know
then
nothing about that.
no, exactly. And the Mustang, the funny thing is it doesn't look bad in any of your pictures, really, unless it's some like close up of you tearing it apart. You know what I mean? So it's but it ought to be a pretty neat car. There's no doubt. I know you guys were talking about this a little while ago, but you have like the very eclectic style for cars.
Yeah,
you are not brand specific.
My the sickness is everywhere for me. I see everything and I'm like, I could really have fun with that. And so
That's why
yeah,
Wickman
that's my
likes.
buddy.
Yeah.
He's got a Volvo.
Uh-huh.
Or had a Volvo.
These aren't those are actually, so I sent I guess in the file I sent like just my past work for photos and media and stuff. That's actually my friend Phil. He's a machinist. That's a Volvo 240D that he actually swapped a Coyote into.
Oh, nice.
That was a Speed Hunters feature that I wrote.
So hold on. So he took the biggest engine on earth and stuck it into the Volvo that has the smallest engine compartment possible, where even a 302 small block Ford is a bit of a tight fit. I like him. I like him a lot. No wonder Wickham loves you. Yeah. So let me ask you a question before I get sidetracked and forget. Are you a photographer by trade? Is that what you do?
Yeah. So I've always been a photographer. I would say by trade, but it's always been my on the side. Except for I was working for a Porsche store here for a little while, and that was like my main thing, doing photos for their social media and ads and all that kind of stuff. And I've always sort of done it freelance stuff whenever I can get it, really.
Yeah.
And Speed Hunters had I Am the Speed Hunter program where you can just apply with the stories and everything. And I got a few on there. I've done work for Lately, it's been mostly behind the scenes with brand stuff, and actually more video now too. I've actually just been working with Nokian Tire on a couple projects, and I got another one coming up with my GTI. That's all video centric, but yeah, photography in the world of automotive has been more of my, I guess, foyer.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when Charles said, "Hey, we're getting, Andrew on the show," blah blah blah, I said, "Okay, awesome." And I was verifying like that I was looking at the right channel and all those things. And one of the things that popped up though is like your Instagram and your YouTube, or maybe not your YouTube, but your Instagram, is that our friend Wes Allison follows you on Instagram, and Wes is one of the biggest automotive photographers in the world. Was retired.
About that. So I got a message one day. This is 2018, and it was from Wes Allison, and he's like, "Hey, I'm coming to Vancouver. I got a project to shoot, and I need somebody with local knowledge. We got to find spots." And it was for Gran Turismo skills.
Yep.
And I'm sitting next to my sim rig here, but and he was like, "So, he said it's this much a day, blah blah blah." And I didn't even look at what he sent me. I was like, Wes Allison's messaging me to go and shoot something with him. I was like, pardon my language, but fuck yeah, like let's go.
Oh yeah, exactly. We all know Wes very well. I mean, he's my business partner for 17 years.
Let him talk you into giving somebody a ride home. You'll end up watching their kids for a week.
That's true. But Wes is awesome. He right at the end of that bar that Crosby and Sean are sitting at is a photo shoot cover on Hot Rod that's got Crosby in it that Wes shot, and then that's how Wes and I met 20 years ago on Power Tour in 2005 when he was shooting a feature on one of my cars, and we were business partners for 17 years, and he's a good dude. Charles is the one that told him he had gotten into the Mini Truckers Hall of Fame, which was hilarious. He was like, "I what?" Wickman's like, "Dude, you paying?"
Yeah, I'm not even in there.
It was when Power Tour ended in Dallas. I want to say 2014 or 13, something like that. And Loans was announcing autocross. Freiberger was the editor. Freiberger was burnt just from doing Power Tour all week. Wes was getting ready to shoot a cover, and Freiberger looks at me. He's like, "Would you mind helping Wes shoot this cover for Hot Rod?" And I'm like, "Okay." So that was with the rat rod and the Prius that's surrounding the rat rod, and that was multiple layers. And what we did, if you look real closely at the cover, you can actually see gaff tape on the ground where we positioning the car so that it never like intersected with another layer of the photo.
Oh yeah, I've done. I can't even tell you dozens of cover shoots with Wes, and too many features to even count. So, but that's cool. That's very cool. Well, hopefully, one day your Mustang will be the king of all hot rods, and end up with a shoot like that. That'd be pretty badass. So, okay. So if we're now, since we've gotten on to Andrew's project, and there's some easy things for me to poke fun at on it because it's a Ford, so that makes it easy for me, but I'm not going to do it today because he has the right year. Because he has the right year.
Be ruthless.
If you were gonna get a Mustang, it needs to be a 67 or 8. I would prefer a fastback, but 67 or 8 is the deal. But
I think 99% of the world would
agree.
Everybody, are you gonna fastback swap it? I was like, is a fastback swap a thing? Like,
apparently it is now. The guy, what's his face? JF did it with the Cougar, and it was rad. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Tom's refurb. He bought a shell of a project fastback and swapped the fastback onto its notchback, which is swapped onto a Honda Civic.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that car was actually a little bit of inspiration for the BMW swap, because I was like, who cares? Like, who gives a shit?
Tom is such a
like,
goofball. He's one of my favorite YouTubers just because he is so far out there in left field, but he is like, he doesn't come across it, but the guy is super smart, and his dad is the same way too.
Yeah. I actually ran into with him Power Tour 22 or 23. I think it was 23. My buddy Craig 909 on YouTube.
Okay.
They were hanging out, and then our group was just leaving. It was North Carolina or South Carolina, Concord, I think. I did a bunch of donuts at the fairgrounds, and then we were leaving, and he did a massive burnout leaving the fairground. It was we probably not welcome back there, but we all went to dinner after. But yeah, I talked to him real quick. He's really cool, dude.
Yeah, Craig down on nine's got the F100, F150, like late 60s that had like the small block that revs to like 17,000 RPMs or some shit like that. I mean, it's
dude,
just
that truck
ridiculous.
is bananas.
Yeah.
And he built the whole thing himself. He's had it since high school.
Yeah, and he's out in Inland Empire area, Crosby. So he's got all kinds of oddball stuff as well.
I think he was actually last winter. He was on the Autotopia YouTube channel or whatever. Autotopia LA. They do all the crazy hot rod features and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have to have some type of high horsepower that'll do like a quarter-mile burnout to be on that channel.
Chad, Greg's truck will do it. It's pretty rowdy.
Yeah.
That picture I just sent you is Wes shooting Gizmo.
Oh yeah, Craig's also got like a '90s Lincoln Town Car that's a pre-runner.
I think he just sold. No, he sold his Crown Vic drift car. I think the Lincoln might be for sale, but yeah, I parked next to him at MPMC last year with my GC8, and it was funny because I was like, dude, how much fun would it be if we could take both of these things like in the dirt together? And his car is just huge next to the GC. Like the GC is just a nugget, and there's such badass cars, and the way we put them next to each other, I was like, that's pretty sick.
And if I remember correctly, he's got a paint scheme like one of Bill Elliott's old NASCARs from the 90s.
Yeah.
Really? That's cool. Yeah. There's Wes shooting Gizmo.
Kneel down by the door.
Well, it's all of 42 inches tall, so.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. Okay, so let's try and wrangle this back on topic. So, if you're telling people, if you're having a conversation with a buddy of yours who decides that they're looking for a project car or have found the dream project car,
don't ask Wickman or Chad Reynolds on which car to get.
I'm offended by that by a lot. I mean, Wickman, yes.
I would have said McTaggart
I've made lots of people make very smart decisions on what cars to buy. Just because I don't take my advice.
Don't follow their decisions. How's that?
Yes, that's totally fine. I don't give a shit.
Like
you made the greatest decisions, like the pot calling the kettle black.
I don't have 19 projects in my yard, though.
I don't either.
Right. I've got 2.
Close. So here's the deal.
Okay, how many other ones do you have, though?
I don't know a dozen. I don't care. That's not the point.
No, I was talking Wickman.
Oh, Wickman. Okay.
I've got the C10 sitting in Louisiana. Then I've got the Suburban here. Then I've got the OBS down in Callahan, which is about 30 minutes from Joe Barry's place.
Yeah, it's close enough to you to drive before.
Yeah, but I have to take care of things first.
In Chad's place, they drive by mistakenly thinking he's having a yard sale all the time.
Oh, God, I wish they'd spend money with me then.
But Chad's out in the boonies, so.
As I say, I'm in the country. I don't have to worry about it. My yard is not the most cars in it.
All right.
Well, so Crosby needed a whole other building for all his stuff, though. Remember that.
I got rid of that building, though.
He did. That is true. I
downsized because I had everybody else's crap in there.
So McTaggart even though he wasn't going to be here, he still gave me some notes for some things he wanted to address. So I'm going to say his big thing, and I think he's crazy. And I absolutely disagree with the statement wholeheartedly, but I think it's polarizing and it'll be good. And I just went, okay, because I didn't want to argue with him because I wanted to have the discussion here. He says that you cannot get. He says that you cannot get a good project car anymore because of the economy and everything else for less than $8,500.
What?
I disagree.
Yeah.
Totally disagree.
Yeah, completely.
I disagree.
Thank you, Andrew. You are welcome on the show anytime. McTaggart, you're a guest from now on. No, just kidding. So here's the deal. I get what he's saying, or why he's saying it. He's just not thinking in the right direction, in my opinion. So here's the deal. That leads into several.
Chad. Back up a second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, look, there are several aspects of buying a project car. And the first one is knowing what you can do quickly and easily and for less money per hour than you get paid. That is a key element in building a car. If you are a guy that knows you could do an interior, but it's going to take you 800 hours instead of just paying somebody for 40 hours of work, it may not be the smart deal, right? So knowing what you are really good at and that you can do efficiently and that you enjoy doing is going to be the first order of business. But then number two is making sure that you buy a vehicle that needs more of what you can do than what somebody else has to do. Because paint and body work and rust repair, like Andrew's doing, I'm totally comfortable with the rust repair side and all of that. I'm not a paint and body work guy, but I could muddle my way through it, or I don't care because I like driving ugly junk. But if you have zero skill in the, sheet metal and body and paint side of things, then you should buy a car that looks as pretty as possible. And you don't care if it has an engine, trans, suspension, none of that in it.
Okay.
You're talking about.
Hold on a second. To carry on a little bit on what Chad just said, instead of starting out with something, and no offense, Andrew, I get where your project is and where it's going, but a lot of people are not capable of doing this stuff themselves, period. So they have to source it out.
Yeah.
So sometimes you're better off finding something that somebody else has already started the project and already done all the sheet metal and everything on it, lost interest in it. It's a little bit more than you wanted to spend, but if you have to farm out doing floors and quarters and stuff like that, you're 10, 20 grand in sheet metal alone. And Andrew understands what I'm talking about because of the amount of time he's putting into this car.
Yeah.
So kind of what McTaggart is saying, it's almost better to spend a little bit more on a car because you're going to spend it anyway. So I get what he's saying. So he's not totally wrong. But there are cars out there that are available that are not 85, 10 grand or whatever. That are still pretty decent. And being in California, we're spoiled. So rust
California
out here,
cars aren't rusty.
Most of them aren't. I mean, we
if you're by the beach, but
But in comparison to where Wickham's at, we're rust free.
Yeah.
Well, if you get down in like southern, southeastern Colorado, you can actually find rust free stuff down there.
Yeah, because it all came out of New Mexico and stuff.
So but you get down around Trinidad and Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
There's quite a bit of good sheet metal out there. And like Lamar is just a farm town, which I'd love to go out there and just spend some time just rummaging around, just seeing what I could find. But again, I was like, I don't need anything. But talking about a cheap project, I pulled up Marketplace here in my area. Didn't even scroll. This was like the fourth or fifth thing that I clicked on. Of course, this is my algorithm. So it was a 1993 Volvo 940 wagon.
Okay.
It is manual swapped, with the good transmission, the M46 is turbocharged. The head has been decked. Has IPD lowering springs, which is like the best lowering springs you can get for the Volvos, and had a coil cut off of them. New Bilstein shocks. Just the whole, I mean, the ad is just huge with all he has. Running and driving, $1,500.
Okay.
Yep. Well, so here's the thing. What you said, Crosby, and what McTaggart's statement led into was a couple of key things. I think one mistake that people make is looking only where they live. So the number one
Yeah, you got to
thing
get outside your comfort zone.
you do, if you should search in your area, absolutely, but you should also search other places, especially if you live anywhere outside of California, and or Texas and Arizona and a few of these states, because here's why this matters. Again, like Crosby said, rust repair costs money, and whether it's you doing it yourself or doing it, having it done, it's going to cost real money. So the more rust-free a car you can get, the straighter the car is that you get, the less money it will cost to build it ultimately. So, let's just say that, a G-body, Monte Carlo costs $5,000 for a decent one. Okay. You're going to engine swap it anyway and all that junk. But let's say that a really nice one is $7,500. You should spend the $7,500. Like if it has a nicer interior paint or any of that, you should do that. Like, because those things all add up. I mean, it all adds up to real money. So, I would say location matters, because you should find someplace rust free. And if you live somewhere where cars don't have much rust, then that's great. That's fine. And even if you lived in, for God, oh my God, sake, hell no, I would never do this. But if you lived in Massachusetts, where things just poof, they're gone, you should still look, because some guy that was smart may have bought a Camaro in California and then,
I'm going to build it.
Then ran out of energy, like, Crosby's talking about, and it's the for sale marketplace. So you never know, but you want to check. Andrew, what would some bit of advice be for you if somebody's looking to get a project car?
Just be honest with yourself and what you're capable of and what your budget is. Cheap project cars, people want to spend the least amount of money to do the fun stuff. They want to do, I'm going to put some bolt-on stuff. Like, I'm talking the average guy, because what you're saying about like the level of capability and everything. Definitely, I understand that not everybody can do a certain amount of things. Like, not everybody is putting sheet metal back on their car, or figuring out how to bend certain shapes and stuff on a tiny little work table in their garage, or putting old Mustangs on stilts and stuff like this. That's where the honesty part comes in. You have to go, what am I capable of? What do I actually want this project to be? Like, I know people that they'll buy a car and they've got 20 different things planned out for a running, driving car already, because, I want to upgrade it and stuff like that. Well, it's kind of like, what are you upgrading it for? To drive to Cars and Coffee, like to drive to work? Like, why do you need more horsepower at night? Why do you need this? When I get a car, I ask myself, like, what am I really going to be doing with this? Like my GTI, my daily driver, super simple example. Not overly like cool or exciting. It's a GTI. It does what I want it to. It's got a stick. It's got a stereo. It's comfortable. I track it. I daily it. I run parts in it. Everything. It does absolutely everything. I drove it to San Diego and back here in like 3.5 days to get a transmission for the GC8. That's what I needed it for.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's all I wanted it for. I didn't plan anything else. And everybody, as soon as I got it, is going, "Oh, what are you going to change? Like, what are you going to modify?" And I was like, "I'm not fucking touching this car." Pardon my language.
Yeah. No, you're good.
I put wheels on it, and I was like, I wanted OZ rallies on it, and that's it. Now I'm sort of like, okay, I can use a different couple things because I've tracked it now. I want to improve time. I let it progress. I don't just go, I'm going to buy this car and do all this right away. Whereas the Mustang was like, this thing's a basket case. I keep finding problems with it. I'm just going to tear the whole thing apart because I need to start from scratch. It needs to be, to get where I want it to be, I have to take it down to being a shell and start from nothing. My 15 Mustang, I wanted to keep it balanced and be able to drive it on track, be able to drive it every day, not go to jail with like 800 horsepower.
Right.
800 horsepower is fun, but there's not a lot of places to use it.
4.
That's
You
true.
can go to jail with
That
it
is
too
true.
if you really want to.
That is true. Yeah.
But my advice for people looking for projects is take some of the whimsy out of your expectations. Like keep that part that's like, this is going to be really fun, but the part like, it'll be super cheap, it'll be really fun, it'll be really easy. That stuff, you just have to expect that it's not going to be easy. It's going to challenge you. It's not going to be fun all the time. It can demotivate you, and you'll have to find that motivation again.
Oh yeah.
Over and over again.
And it's
going to push you.
Add to what you're saying is, where do you want to start and where do you want to end with the project? I mean, do you want to just a bolt-on car, or do you want to completely rebuild everything in the car? So it all depends on where you want to start and stop.
And I think it's an important point that you bring up, Andrew, because I have said this to people dozens and dozens, probably hundreds of times about projects. The first thing is what Crosby said. You got to figure out, where do you want this thing to go, right?
Yeah.
But then you have to make a decision. If this is a running and driving car, you have to make a decision. You have to make a decision if you are willing to have this thing from this day forward sit immovable in your garage for the next 5 years. If you think it's going to take 3, it's going to take 5. If you think it's going to take 5, it's going to take 7. Right? So if that's what you want to do, then great. But you need to be really, really, really truthful with yourself, because the reality is that a shit ton of that time is going to be you buying and saving for parts and then waiting for them to get to you. Well, you know what? Why don't you put the suspension on? Let's say you bought a 67 Camaro with an inline 6-cylinder and a 3 on the tree. If it had a fold down back seat and a bench with an armrest in the front, it'd be worth $1 jillion. But I digress. So anyway, if you took that car and you went, okay, well, I want Ride Tech suspension on this thing. So let's say you go and you put all the Ride Tech suspension on this thing, the 4-link, all that stuff. You put wheels and tires on it that look cool. Maybe they're your ultimate forge lines, or maybe they're just a set of 17 or 18 inch Steelies and dog dish hubcaps. You do whatever you need to do as you go along, but the whole time, like you said, Andrew, you're still driving this thing to Carson Coffee, right? You're still driving this car. You can build the LS engine. You can put twin turbos on it. You can engine dyno it. You can do all those things. Okay. And you can wait until all that shit is ready to go in the car. And then you can, in a weekend, take that thing, pull the engine trans out of it, spend another weekend rewiring and replumbing the entire car for all the fuel injection system. And then the third weekend, stab the engine and transmission in that thing and literally have a car that is down for a couple of weeks at a time over a 5-year period or 6-year period, or a car that is down for 5 of those 6 years. But nobody can do it because everybody wants the fucking horsepower first. But I'm telling you, as the guy who has made this mistake too many times to count, just drive the shit pile with whatever is in it and do all the stuff so it looks cool. Nobody's going to know going down the freeway whether it has 65 or 1,065 horsepower.
And if
it's
you got
fun, it's fun.
And if you got a project car like Andrew, the absolute last thing you buy for that car is wheels and tires.
Yes.
Oh, I did that wrong.
You're right, Crosby, because unless it's different. If you went, okay, a 68 Mustang is my dream all car. I've had the dream since I was 6, and there is nothing in the world that's going to work for it except a set of Halibrands, then great, right? No problem. You already have the dream. But if you decide that you're going to build this car in, today, you buy it, and 2 weeks from now, you've already bought wheels and tires for it. 5 years from now, there's a chance those are not going to be cool anymore. And then you're going to be like,
that's not the only
shit.
problem. You're talking about offset problems.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
talking about width size.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
Tire sizes.
Yep.
What are you focusing on there, Wickham?
Those are Halibrands sitting back right there.
Uh-huh.
Brand new Halibrands in the box.
Nice.
And that's what it is. I bought those things for a truck that Chad was with me when I dropped that truck off in November of 2021.
Yes.
I have yet to drive that truck. Chad was also the same one that pulled that truck out of that shop because it was sitting there for 3 years, not getting anything done. And now
Never heard of that happening.
And now it's sitting at another place where the guy, him and some buddies did the work in 2 days what had taken the shop 6 months to do. And as unfortunately, it's like with my situation that's happened now, I'm kind of at a standstill till I get back to work and get money built back up again and get my truck out of Hawk. So
yeah,
right.
Money can be an issue, and
yeah,
don't over. How do you put it? Don't let your eyeballs overextend your wallet.
Yes. Actually that's a really good point too. Knowing your budget, Andrew, you said this, but
do your research.
Yes. And to go even further on the budget. So let's say you bought that same 67 Camaro I'm talking about, but it's a roller. Stone stock, no engine and transmission in, right? In that scenario, you may want like, oh my God, yes, I want to put, a twin turbo 6-liter and, all the things in it, right? But in that scenario, you should find whatever will go in it easy and quick that you can rattle can rebuild for a weekend and put it in there and start driving it. And that might
put it in there. Done.
Yeah, that might be a 283 and a Power Glide somebody pulled out of a 66 Bel Air wagon. Or that could be a 350 and a turbo 350 out of a C10 pickup, like you said.
Could be a good run in LS too.
It could be. That was what I was going to say. It could be a 5.3 and a 4L65. And that scenario, if it's the right deal, then jump at.
Don't discount the 5.3s for power.
Oh God, no. No, they make plenty of power.
Yeah, I've got a friend in Chicago that's got a warehouse full of engines and transmissions right now that he's trying to get rid of just because he's got so many of them stacked up. 4.8s, 5.3s, and 6.0s.
Really?
Wasn't Tony Angelo's box truck motor a 5.3? Didn't that make like 400 and something horsepower?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. They all do. They make 325 horsepower on the dyno, race built 125 to 225,000 miles, premium race building. That's what they make, period. And with a cam, you're close to 400. And that's again with the little 5.3. So
yeah, my friend Alan, all his stuff was basically Silverados that had been rusted in half, and they're all takeouts. They were running and driving, and he knows the conditions of every one of them, and straight up won't BS you. And the thing is, his stuff is stupid cheap too. He's got running engines that start off at like $350 and go up.
Yeah, that's sweet.
And if you got to look at it like, so if you had let's say you could buy a 350 and a turbo 350 for $1,500 that runs and drives good, and you're going to spend another couple $100 on some dress up goodies just to make it look clean and nice, right? Well, so let's say you're in for $2,000 with that thing. Hoses, plugs, wires, all those things. It's going to be there, right? Well, if you go, well, man, for $2,000, I can get a LS and a 4L65E.
Yeah.
That may well be, but you still have headers,
wire harness,
manifolds, mounts, wiring harness.
And
You
your
can get
fuel
away with the
management.
factory harness and ECU if you had to, although I wouldn't. But I mean, you can. But anyway,
and all
fuel system, all those things.
sensors,
Yes,
O2s, all that
yes,
stuff adds up quick.
it
Shop
does, and that
supplies.
doesn't mean it's not the right decision. It
Yeah.
just means you can't forget about those things, right?
You're going
Be-
to, you've got to add money to the ticket.
Yes, because
tell
if
everybody-
you have to buy headers for the 350, or you have to buy motor mounts, or you have to buy any, then those things could be a wash. You never know. So at some point, there is a breakover point where it makes sense to spend the money on the LS, but you got to make sure you're doing the math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got an LS sitting right there that has 0 Chevrolet parts on it.
Right.
It's a brand new blueprint motor. There is
Yeah.
no
Nope.
any Chevrolet parts.
Nope. None whatsoever. The block is gorgeous. I just spent last week there rubbing all over blueprint blocks and doing dyno tests on the 1,000 horse 632s, and they're fun.
I just got a 427 yesterday for the Ranchero.
Oh, nice.
Now,
Yeah.
here's what I'm curious about with talking about buying project cars. And Andrew, I know you are north of the border, and I'm just kind of curious, what all do you have to go through buying a vehicle in one country and then driving it and getting it all in your name in another country?
So in terms of USA-Canada relationships, what I had to do, I hired a broker to handle my export and import process, just because I looked at all the paperwork. There's a simplified way to do it. I couldn't figure it out, and I didn't have the time or really the aspiration to deal with all. I hate the paperwork side of things. So I talked to a broker. I said, this is what I'm doing. They're like, yeah, we got you, no problem. They do it all the time. The US side, they want to see what you paid for the car. They want proof of what you paid for the car. So like banknotes, anything you can show them. The ad, if you can get the ad off Marketplace and screenshot it, they like to see that. I probably paid too much for the car. I know I paid too much for the car. I'm at peace with it because I had a really, really great experience. But I told the border guy, and I put on the paper and everything, and I showed banknotes of, I paid $1,000 for this car. And the guy was a total car guy because he looks at it and goes, $1,000, eh? He's like, there's probably more than that sitting in that engine bay. And I was like, yeah, but did you see the roof? And like, did you see all the damage? And he's like, oh yeah, I saw that. He's like, looks like it's going to be a fun project. Stamps the form and hands it to me and says, have a nice day.
Right, of course, yeah.
You're my guy, right?
Yeah.
Canadian side, I had the one sheet that the broker gave me, and it's just a CADX form where it shows you passed export. You're okay to import because you have to wait a certain amount for it to pass export. It's like 3 days. Once all the paperwork gets there and everything, whether you send it in or a broker does, which is again like bill of sale, what you paid, the title and all that stuff, signed title. Make sure everything's legal, that the car can leave the country. Once it gets here, our border says, okay, it can come in, and then you have to take it to get inspected to make sure it's road legal. It's like DOT, same deal.
Yeah.
Which I'm actually putting an extension on because I didn't have time to get the car running well enough to insure it, to get it inspected. So once my car is done, I have to actually get it insured to make sure it's actually legal to be in this country, which if it doesn't, there's ways around to get it, to get all the paperwork through. I just have to push everything back because it's not, capable of going to an inspection facility.
Right.
Now,
it'd be like an MOT or carb inspection kind of thing for you guys.
Like in California, we have what they call a non-op, which means non-operational. Is there such a thing in Canada, or?
So here in BC, at least, the car actually had a non-op on the title at one point before I had it, which was kind of funny. And that's the reason the guy was selling it, is because he wasn't allowed to drive. Anyway, going back to it, so we have, it's called a VI here. It's just basically called a visual inspection. So if your car looks janky and, there's shit falling off of it, or you know, a lot of stance guys get in trouble for it here when they got, you know, negative 13 degrees of camber and all this stuff. They get what's called a VI. They'll get pulled over. The cop will say it's like a fix-it ticket.
Yeah.
Right. The car gets towed. It's box 2 VI. Car gets towed to either an impound or your house. You can't drive it until you get it towed to a registered inspection facility. It passes inspection. You get the sticker on the windshield says this is, and even then, our cops can pull you over again. They can completely ignore the fact that your car literally just came, because this has happened. Car just came out of inspection. They won't care if nothing's changed. They'll send you right back. Or you could have changed everything. You could have adhered to everything the inspection facility has said. They can still basically ref you and send you back. They pulled over completely stock. There was a story that was really big here at the height. There was a huge, actually, like, not a crisis, but like just a ridiculous amount of people getting pulled over and VI'd. Like what? And it was around this particular group of officers in Vancouver area. And they pulled over a completely stock Porsche 911, a 991 Targa 4S. They said, your car's too loud. Guy's not even driving in sport mode. Looks, you know, he's a lawyer. He had just left his service appointment at Porsche in Vancouver and gets pulled over. And they're like, well, your car's too loud. We're going to, you know, here's your VI. Here's your ticket. You have to take it to an inspection facility. He's like, I'll just take it right back to Porsche right now. And there was this whole big thing. I don't know what happened behind the scenes. Kind of after that, the VI thing started cooling down because it was on the news. Private auto group, a bunch of lawyers and everything got together and they sound tested a bunch of different cars and stuff and like actually fought a bunch of this. And
awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was,
and it sounds really similar to the stuff that goes on in Australia.
Well, there was a video from Daily Driven Exotics up there in Canada. They got busted, and a bone stock car right from the Lamborghini dealership. They did nothing to it.
Yeah.
Well, one of the problems with those. So here's the problem with that whole scene. And I commend these guys for being able to fight it, because one of the big challenges, and I've had this conversation with SEMA, is that you have to separate the cars that really were something was wrong from the cars that weren't, where there wasn't something wrong. And part of the problem in specifically with the exhaust is that all of these guys are getting pulled over all over the country for loud exhaust in cars. And they're like, this is my, you know, brand new, whatever Hemi, whatever shitbox and blah, blah, blah. It's stone stock. Except I was in track mode. You're like, it says right on track mode, you retard. That you're not legally allowed to do that on the street. You know, I mean, it says it right on that. Like, this ain't legal, dude. Why don't you maybe think about this would be a bad idea in front of the cop?
Gets pulled over, refed.
Yes.
Instantly turns to that meme. I'll do it again.
Yes. And it's like, oh my God, you're not helping us. You know, the guy that legitimately was just driving in regular don't piss the neighbors off mode, that guy absolutely is right. But we need to make sure that guy and the idiot in the Hemi Charger don't get lumped together, because they're not the same. Or at least not from our standpoint.
Well, I heard
people that are always going to ruin it for everybody. So,
this was a 2023 or 24 Chevy Silverado Trail Boss, and I didn't even know those things had a sport mode exhaust. And the guy knew that bought it. He basically flipped the switch on it, and I'm like, "Wait, when did you get exhaust on?" He's like, "No, this is factory." And I'm like, "No, this can't."
That's crazy.
Sounds. And I was like, that could get you in trouble, especially where I live, just because of the uppity type people that live in my area in Golden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it sounds funny to say, but like the new Corvette, the E-Ray, I mean, that thing has neighborhood mode. I don't know that that's what they call it, but it's full EV mode. You back out of your driveway and drive down the street at 6 a.m. when you're on your way to work, and then don't actually fire the car up until you're outside the neighborhood. Like, I gotta tell you, I know that pisses people off that maybe they'd have to do that. I'm kind of down. if that means that I can run with my shit with open headers the rest of the time or whatever it is that I want to do, like I'm really okay with keeping the neighbors happy at 6:30 a.m. I mean, just me, but whatever.
Yeah, I've got a neighbor with a Subaru Impreza wagon that he cold starts that thing, and it was just like literally want to go out there and punch the guy just because it just makes so much damn noise, and I'm like,
I've never done that.
Don't you shut your mouth, Sean. Shut your mouth, Sean. Sean's thinking, God, you guys are sounding like old men. You ain't that much younger, kid.
what was funny is
a
like
little bit.
Derek Barry's latest video on ViceScript, he was having exhaust issues on that Suburban that he bought, just a stock big block,
Yeah.
and it's basically straight pipe now, and he's driving through California, and he's all like, all right, what commie's gonna pop out around the corner and basically like have me hauled off to jail for as loud as this thing is? And he even was saying, it's like, this is like too loud to be driving.
You'd be surprised. Out here, it's really not that big of a deal. Like, we have some pretty strict laws out here, but it also comes down to if you're not screwing around on the street, the cops really don't care.
Yeah.
Nope. I agree. Everybody says it's like acts as if it's impossible to be a hot rodder in California, and yet there is more car activities on new or old cars and everything in between happening every single day of the week in Southern California.
I was
mean,
daily
like,
driving
100
the
times
32
what
for
that
almost
is.
a year.
Yeah.
It's got no fenders on it.
Hold on. Think about it. In all of the
picked
time
him
that
up at
I
the airport.
commuted. Yeah. Well, and think about all the time I commuted in Southern California. I did every bit of my commuting either in a 56 Chevy station wagon or a 66 Chevy station wagon. On air. Yeah. Like I didn't even own anything that wasn't that. So yeah, it's fine.
That's another
Nobody
thing I think
cares.
is funny is because like, especially like Huntington Beach, where it's like, that's where I've seen a lot of videos, and Huntington Beach has like probably per capita the most hot rodders in Southern California.
Dude,
I used
And
to
they have
vacation
probably
there.
the most cops too, though.
Yeah.
they do, but
So
they do
it's
so
basically
many
fuck around and find out.
That's true. Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yes. Well,
I used to take the Mustang down there a lot because my in-laws had a place there that we would, we'd fly to, or if I'm on a road trip, drive to. And the Verdict so it's always had 1 7/8 inch headers, no cats, no resonators. Right now it's got RTR mufflers on it, but before that it was just 3-inch exhaust all the way to the back. Nothing else. Like NASCAR level pulling off throttle, blah.
yeah.
And I had taken it to Huntington like that a couple times, and like I didn't drive like a total dick or anything. You get on the like 405 or something like that and get on it. Nobody cares out there. But I would drive to Donut Derelicts, and it's 5:30 in the morning, and I'm just I put out the neighborhood, down the street, down PCH, do my thing, and nobody really batted an eye. Like I asked, there was people in the neighborhood that the house was at, and nobody really cared. It was just like, you're not like trying to drag race out of the neighborhood, or
Well, and that's
Right.
more of that stuff is the people that are sitting there revving their cars, and they're intentionally trying to piss people off.
Or they fire it up in the driveway and let it warm up for 15 minutes and piss off the old lady.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. Dude.
That was a funny thing too. It's like Wiley, when one of his last trips out of his house there in, I think he was around Seal Beach or something like that, and he started up that straight pipe Javelin that he bought from the Motor Trend Network, and he was just kind of like cringing, like, this is gonna piss off my neighbors so much. I mean, it's like and yeah, it's just like, of course, that thing was just like NASCAR levels loud.
Well,
my neighbors don't care.
No, your neighbors don't care. It's true. The railroad tracks are louder. The granite guy is now louder.
Andrew
Everybody's
doesn't
loud.
know. I live in my shop. So.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. Yeah. The bedroom is to his left.
Yeah.
So here's one other thing though that this makes me think of. The other thing about getting a car as a project, and we have this conversation all the time. We we always have this conversation with McTaggart, right? He's not here to defend himself. There's a reason there are 11 million 69 Camaros and 66 Chevelles and 68 Mustangs and all those things at car shows. And it's not only because they're awesome, but because somebody cared enough to make, because somebody cared to make enough to make parts for them. Okay. If you have all the skill in the world and all the money in the world, you can build the oddest, weirdest, stupid, something strange era shit you want. But if you don't have all the money and you don't have all the resources and you don't have all the skill to make all the things, then you should buy something that you can get parts for, either in the wrecking yard or in the parts store or whatever, because for the love of God, like some of the stuff will drive you nuts and bankrupt you otherwise.
Not a 1978 Dodge Magnum.
I wasn't going to say it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
McTaggart has a thing about getting oddball.
He does. What he
Isn't
loves
that
are
all
like
guys?
those weird 70s, like mid to late 70s Mopars he likes. And good for him. Like his car's cool, but yeah, it would drive me absolutely insane if it was that hard to find parts for something. So,
I mean, you even go to you just go to the more known Mopars too. Like my friend, I don't know if you guys know Bryce Gold on Instagram.
Yep.
He's got a Dart. He's got his Coronet. That's a Gen 3 Hemi swap. And he's got his, I can't remember, 70 Challenger that he's going to build into like a sort of a pro touring hot rod. And him and I were talking, he found a body that was really nice out in, I don't know if I think he's told people, but he found a body with like everything he needs to replace most of his car. And it was really cheap. And he's like, dude, I think I'm going to do it. I was like, you should do that. I was like, because you can't find that everything that you need. You can't find all these panels. Right. And he said that to me about the Mustang. He's like, dude, you can go and order whatever you want off like CJ's or Dynacorn, anything. And I was like, yeah, it's super sick. Like, that's why I don't bitch too much about having to restore it, because it's available. But like the Challenger stuff, he was like, I can't get it. Like AMD doesn't even have everything.
And AMD has a lot of stuff, but they don't. Like you said, there isn't a square inch of body that you can't buy for your Mustang or my Camaro.
Right.
Period.
Actually, I will refute that, because you can't get outer A-pillar skins. I had to make those from scratch. And they are probably the most intricate piece that you could think, how am I going to bend that with a vise and like a shrinker?
I love it.
Hammer.
Yeah, I was watching the video on that with the concave curves and that thing. I was just like, okay, that's just nuts. I mean, that's like way out of my realm. Okay,
that was a lot of tape.
I haven't watched that one yet. So did you do the cardboard aided drafting for that one or what?
Well, I was doing the cardboard aided, and it was a little cumbersome to get everything on like these multiple planes. So the first one I made, each radius and bend I made out of one piece, because it's like a double stepped curved piece to meet the door line. And it's got like flanges on 2 levels. It's really, my brain hurts. So I made the pieces out of tape, and then I tagged them together. And then on the second one, I went, well, I want to make this out of less pieces this time, because a guy that fabricates that I know was like, the less metal that you have to weld together, the better. Anytime, whether it's for strength or just like ease of assembly, expediting the process. He's like, it's just better. So I actually ended up making the second one out of like 2 pieces, because I figured out, okay, I can make, I can make an L shape, and then I can actually radius it and do a bend on it and like compound it. Everything it was way different than the first one, way better. The first one looks like garbage compared to the second one, kind of thing. And that's part of the learning process. But that is the one part that I couldn't find.
The choir.
Yeah, I mean, you got to figure it out the hard way, and that's the only way to figure it out.
The only way I do is the hard way. So
yeah.
Well, and sometimes you have to, right? I mean,
Yeah.
Crosby builds cars for a living and has
Yeah.
built some amazing things that are weird, like the cord and stuff, right? That there isn't anything for it if you don't have a parts
Yeah.
car. So, but I think there are so many times, and we all know this feeling because we've all had it at some point, but we also all have friends who decide that they're going to look for a project, and they're between A and B, and A is the smart choice by every measure, and somehow they end up with B, and they're all excited. So you're excited for them because you want to be, but 2 weeks later, they're looking at the fact that all the things they thought would be available are not available
Yeah.
or are not the same. And all of a sudden they're seeing how much expense this is going to be and all the other things they have to do that they didn't plan on. And before long,
And
that
the
it's
amount
the
of
spiral,
and the
Yeah.
amount of time that it takes you to do all that stuff takes the wind out of your sails of finishing the project. So
Yeah.
that's the other thing you have to include in it. If it's going to take you a whole bunch of time, your focus is going to dwindle with that time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody.
Not only your pocketbook, but your absolute ambition to getting the project done. Because you hit a
Yeah.
wall and you don't know who to ask, and there are a lot of people out there to ask. And they're good thing about like your channel, even if it's not exactly what they're working on, at least they can get an idea of where to go to
Yeah.
find somebody that knows.
Oh yeah,
It's
exactly.
actually
And
that's actually one
usually
of
a lot of people will lend a hand like you do and give advice and stuff like that. There's a lot of people out there that do that.
yeah. And that's how I've learned a lot of things is just asking. Like I actually had a memory on Facebook the other day that was me picking up the TIG torch for the first time like 2 days ago last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like probably midnight my time. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning at my buddy's place in Ontario. Mike Bazzelli from the Old Car Channel. Incredible welder. He teaches welding, I think at a college level. I cannot remember exactly. He'll probably rip me for that. But I just happened to be messaging him. It's like he just finished in the shop and we were talking. He's like, "What are you working on?" kind of thing. And I straight up was just like, how do I set up for doing? I was like, I keep blowing through like 18 gauge, 16 gauge. Like, what am I doing wrong? And he walked me through it. It's cheap machine, but it has all the steps and everything.
That's a
And
start.
an hour later, I was like, wow, I'm actually like sticking stuff together. This is great. It's not awesome TIG welds or anything, but I was like, shit, like, and
But it's working.
you know,
Yeah.
it's working, and it just took having to reach out to somebody. And I
That's
did
how
say before that,
that's
like,
how I learned.
yeah,
Well,
We all learn.
that's what's nice about some of these newer welding machines is that they're almost like idiot proof. You just basically put in your voltage and
Yep.
what you want to do and
Thickness material, what kind of
thickness
material.
material and that, and it basically it sets everything. I mean, that's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
don't even have to switch leads.
there's a couple of levels of that. Like Miller and Lincoln both have ones, like you said, Wickman, where you're like mild steel, 125 wall, whatever,
Yeah.
and it does it. And then there's some, like, I know that there's some ESOB welders now. I used one of these, a MIG welder that did this, where you set it, but it's adjusting as you weld based on load. Like it is
Yep.
adjusting for you. So if you do, if you do the triangle pattern, the moving triangle pattern, or you are a zigzagger or forward and back or whatever, that changes the load on the welder as far as amperage and stuff as it
holy crap.
goes. It's insane. And I used an ESOB MIG welder that was like that. And it was awesome, except for one little thing. And I could totally get over it because ESOB welders are amazing. There are things, because I've been welding my entire life, and Crosby's the same way, where when you get into a certain situation where you're trying to get it to go somewhere, you're counting on the fact that it's going to have too much stick out or something like that. And so you know what you need to do physically to make up for that. Well, the machine is doing that already for you. So you're like, oh shit, that's not going the way it normally would, And so it takes a little bit of learning, but
yeah, because you get up there in the corner of a tube or something, or two tubes coming together, you mat the thing to get it to puddle and then start adding rod. And if it's
exactly.
adjusting away from that, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't want it to be right. Just
No!
let me do it.
Power! Make me more power.
Exactly. It is. It's like that, and it's hilarious, but it's pretty neat. There's so much cool technology. But I have to say, the other thing, this wasn't on my list, but it just made me think of it when you're talking about friends that are welders. The other thing that you need to do if you're wanting to buy a project, or I think one thing you should do, you should watch YouTube channels where they're doing fabrication work. And the reason that I say that is you should watch a couple of videos on somebody hanging a quarter panel or doing floor pans or doing any of those things, because even if you have the skill, or maybe you think you have the skill, watching those videos, you may go, oh man, hanging a quarter. Yeah, that'll be easy. I could do that. Let's do that. Or you might go, holy shit, I could do that, but I don't want to do that. Right. And so that'll make you not get a car that needs quarters. I mean,
well, it's like Kevin Keats doing that second gen Camaro going from a late model to an early model, and all that
garbage involved. Camaro. Yes.
Yeah. And that project is just nuts. I mean, what he's doing.
Oh,
metal wise with that.
But well, he started out with a car that he said was too rusty to save, and I'm going to save it anyway.
But if you're gonna practice welding, grab some material that you can throw away and practice on the material first. Play around with it. Don't dive in to what you're doing. And the last thing you want to do, if you're hanging a quarter on something, make sure everything's square where you want it to be before you even lay a weld on the thing.
Oh yeah. You can't move it around afterwards.
Buy Clecos and an 1/8" drill bit. Yeah. You will be very happy with yourself.
And that's the thing too, is like companies like Temu. I mean, you can buy Clecos on there for like
pennies.
I got like 100 Clecos for I think $20 or something with the
pliers. Yeah, exactly.
Like that was one of the first thing I bought, and then the panel cinches, those little squares that you can cinch up. For a butt weld. Those were like two of the first things I bought when I got the car, and then I bought like 700 grinder discs.
Yeah, there you go.
And then I ran out.
So here's one of the things too along those lines is, if you watch some of this kind of stuff first, so you know what you would have to expect if you get a car or a truck that needs that kind of repair, it also will tell you what tools you do and do not have that you might need. And it could be that you go, oh, to hang quarter panels, I have to spend $3,500 on tools, right? That I don't have. Well, you know what then? Are you ever going to hang quarter panels on something else again? Do you need those other tools for something else? If the answer is no, which it probably isn't, but some of you it's going to be, then it might be better to save your money and pay somebody to hang quarters.
Yeah. Well, that actually shoots back to what you were saying about the cost when you're getting parts and everything for your project and your budget. Like, it comes down to not only, okay, I'm going to do, an engine swap or something, but what tools do you need? Like, you need a crane to get the engine out, or you need a lift, or depending on what kind of car it is. Like my 911, you got to take the motor out the bottom, right? So I'm like, how am I going to do that? What tools am I going to need? Oh, I need quick jacks. Oh, I need a trans jack to lower the whole thing down, right? That costs money. And then on top of that, it's like, while you're doing this job, you're going to go through brake clean, you're going to go through rags, you're going to go through gloves, earplugs, all this other stuff. Like, it all comes into play. And I think that is one thing that is quite overlooked. When people say, oh yeah, it was only like a $3,000 project. I'm like, how much did you spend on shit to get that $3,000 to go into your $10,000 car?
Well,
exactly.
That would be neat if like some YouTubers did. Basically, they go and do the process where they film the whole video. But if they filmed like at the end of their video or after they're done with the work, basically film the section that is like, you would put in front of the videos, like, here's the tools and materials you're going to need to do this project today.
Well,
so basically
that's
gives you an
like
idea.
Casey's Customs. Casey's did that. Remember, he did the $1,000 F100 and all that, where he started with the
Right.
Crown Vic and did all. He was very specific on tools and materials and all those things. You know, even sandpaper and all that stuff. Especially if it was a tool he didn't have, like, so you went, oh, I don't have this and we need this. That was $63 or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's pretty transparent about what he uses. And since he's pretty rough, he doesn't use that many tools in comparison. But you're 100% right. Like, that kind of information is really valuable, because we all think we can do it cheaper than we can, and in half the time that is realistic. I mean, that's car guy math. It is what it is. It's we all do,
and it,
you know.
And if you're new,
with that there, I saw a video this past week of a guy named Bellows, I think, out of California. He did a chop
Michael
top
Bellows. I love him. I worship Bellows. He's amazing. Yes, he's my dude.
He's doing a chop top on a 49 Merc, and he basically turns around and he's got this workbench that's probably about 10 feet long, and he's like, here's all the tools you need to do a chop top. And I was like, I'll just pay you to do it, because it's going to end up being the same after buying all those tools.
And here's a big clue for anybody out there that's new to using what our buddy Finnegan refers to as the death wheel.
Yeah.
Buy the full face shield.
Yes.
Because those things will blow up if you don't know what you're doing. A pair of glasses is not going to save your ear or your cheek or your nose. Buy a full face shield.
Well, that's the thing.
Get a dimmable welding helmet.
I've heard a couple things from friends that they were using, I forgot brand, let's just say brand X, for standing disc and cutoff wheels, and all of a sudden, over a period of time, the stuff just became like inferior, and they were just blowing up literally on them. And it's just like, you don't know.
I've still got a piece. I mean,
yes, you do in the ceiling. I forgot about that.
I don't know if you can see it.
Holy.
Yeah. One of those is a piece of grinding disc. Yes.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That exploded. And went right outside of my head.
I got hit, me and Freiberger, when we were doing that television pilot, We'll Race Anything, years and years and years and years and years ago. We were in the shop, and he was doing something next to me, like, 3 or 4 feet away, and I had a vise with something in it that I was grinding on. It wasn't a cutoff wheel. I was just a flat disc. I was using a flat disc on something. And again, I been welding my whole life and using a flat disc and grinding wheels forever.
Yeah, he's got steel toe flip flops.
Yeah, exactly. So I know what to and not to do, and was not doing anything weird with this thing, and it exploded. And so a third of it just exited the building, and that third hit the table, and right next to Freiberger, and just out the door, right? Just gone. Didn't hurt him at all. But the imbalance, makes this thing come up, all right? And it bashes me in the face. I'm wearing a full face shield, okay? It hits me in the face hard enough to swell my cheek, okay? And didn't look like I'd been in a fight, but close, right? And Freiberger is just looking at me with eyes this big. And of course, the face shield is all, giant gash in it and all that. You can't see through it anymore, And we're sitting there, and we were laughing because this was like a day off from production, and we were just working on the car. And we normally had a safety officer who was such a giant pain in the ass that we wanted to scream every time we tried to use a power tool. And we're like, dude, if they were here, we would be in so much trouble right now. Even though it wasn't our fault. They never let us touch a tool again, But yeah,
I mean, even with what I do with Hot Wheels, I've got a Dremel cutoff wheel that comes literally daily. I have one that
Explode like crazy.
comes apart on me.
Yeah, because the
Yep.
Dremel stuff's so thin and, all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get hot and brittle and just literally just come apart on you. So
Well, they
Yeah.
spin so freaking fast.
That's
yeah. I forgot
Wait.
what RP the thing spins at. So
Hold on.
I've
The
actually had
greatest
Dremel bits
thing
come apart
ever.
a lot.
You're
Yeah.
gonna love this. Oh my god,
Uh-oh.
I forgot about this. So when we did the 10K drag shootout, okay, the second one, when we were doing the Moonshine Missile, the LTD station wagon, me and Biggin, who you don't know, maybe Andrew, but it's Eric Yost. He's customs by Biggin. Biggin is what everybody calls him. Anyway, we were doing the 10K drag shootout. We had to build a car in 10 days for $10,000 and then drag race it. So me and Biggin are sitting there and we're all doing different shit on the car and it's full thrash mode. And Lyle we have given him the job of cleaning the edge where the windshield is going to glue in. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And we're doing a Lexan window but with factory trim on it and stuff. So we've had to like build spacers and, all this stuff. So we put Lyle on it and he goes, what should I use to clean the stuff off, the old urethane? And I said, I was about to say a scraper to get the bulk off. Okay. And he goes, should I just use this? And he picks up a 4.5-inch angle grinder and he goes, should I just use this and this? And he holds up a wire wheel. And I look at Biggin and Biggin looks at me and we're like, yes, you should use those. And I'm like, but you need to wear the face shield when you do it. So Lyle's up there with the 7,500 RPM rated wire wheel and the 10,000 RPM 4.5-inch angle grinder. And we all know, we've all been there, right? So like these little tiny bristles of stainless steel are like, and Lyle's like, oh shit. And he's yelling and screaming, God, oh my God, these things are. And he's like, look at her in my shirt. And me and Biggin are dying. I mean, we are on the floor. And he looks, he goes, damn you guys. We start laughing.
Dude.
I mean,
that is the funniest shit.
Everybody's like, oh my God, you are so evil. I mean, literally,
I
Lyle's got like
Yeah.
little bristles stuck out of his head. I mean, it was great.
I
figured
you
you'd
not
tell him to do
today.
something flammable.
Yeah, pick on the guy who's been on fire.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Today, I kid you not. So I was doing, I'm working on a set of track wheels for my other car, and I needed a brass wheel for a grinder.
Yeah.
And I didn't grab my gloves. I just wanted to test it out on one spot, make sure, like, okay, it's not going to deform the metal or anything, right? No big deal. I put my safety glasses on, and I start the wire wheel, and it's like kind of angled this way, and my hand's like off to the side. Just kind of doused it that way. And as soon as I started up, before I even touched the metal, it flung like a bunch of bristles out that were just idle in the stack. And I shit you not, a brass bristle went doink and stuck. I looked at my finger and I was like, I've never seen it stuck right in my finger. And I know the stainless brushes because I've done
we've all done it. That's why we
everybody's
all know
done
how
it.
fun it is.
And it's so stupid, but you just know when
it.
you see, and you can see them trying to be cool when it's happening. They're like,
yeah,
or you catch one in the neck or whatever, and you're like, you know, when I'm grinding, I'm like,
oh yeah, the ones that are like cup shaped, those ones are okay. Those ones are better at it. But the ones with the loose, those. Man,
I had one of those couplings. I had one of those couplings come apart on me on the Dremel, and I was like, no,
that would be bad.
Well, they're
little
not,
needles of shrapnel.
They're not rated for 20,000 RPM. They're Wickman.
That's what I was
they're
about
not
to grab
F1
it.
rated. Yeah. Jesus.
That's so funny.
Yeah, when the baby diapers say 6 or 7 pounds, that's all they'll hold.
The whole.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Dyno testing a Dremel.
So,
I know, I can hear it now.
I was trying to, the cord got tangled up, but I was looking at it. Yeah, this one spins at 30,000.
Oh,
Jesus.
shit.
that's handy.
Yeah, nope, I'm out.
And this
I'm out.
this was like the first time I've ever got a cutoff wheel
Okay,
that small on it.
you of
Yeah.
all people should not
Yes!
have anything that
Yes,
spins that fast.
yes, what you said, Crosby. Yes, dude. I mean,
This
I don't
guy
know
should
if you
have-
know Andrew,
you-
but like
if-
Wickman
If
is
you ever seen those little
emergency room
circles
visit.
on the crash test dummy, those should be on the side of his head.
Yes, he is the like he walks into the ER and they're like,
He's got a
"Wickman!"
Hey, how's it
selfie,
going?
Yeah.
selfie
Yeah,
of
There's
them
one in every group. There's
cutting
one
the
in every group.
roof off his freaking car
Yes.
to extricate
yeah,
his ass out of it.
that's true.
Oh yeah, I was going home from work one day and was driving a 2008 Ford Fusion. That was my daily
Do
driver.
not ride with Wickham. Do not. ride
And
with
ran out the road, rolled the car, and they go to pull me out of the car. And the car's sitting on its side, and I was out because I had a gash in my head, and it was right by the fire station too. So fire department shows
That's
up and
handy.
like, all right, we need to get you out of the car. And I was like, okay, hold on. And I turned the key was off. I guess I turned it off, but I turned the key on. I hit the button for the sunroof. It slides back, and they're like, "He's fine."
He then
But yeah,
gave the phone to the firemen and made them take pictures, which he then texted to me while he was in the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they
Oh.
cut the roof off, and basically they got neck brace and on the stretcher. But yeah, that was the thing too. Like I ended up
It
with
took-
3 broken ribs, a
It took
concussion,
2
and a
neck
hole in my head.
braces, but
And
Yeah.
what was I doing the next week? I was at a national event shooting photos at Bandemere.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
That's
you're
And I
right,
an
saw-
idiot.
people.
What's funny is I saw Freiberger there. He was hanging out with Clay Milliken, and we're underneath the tower. And he looks at me and he's like, "Didn't you just roll a car the other day?"
You're like, yeah,
That's
right
when you're
down the
supposed to
road
say,
here.
What?
And I
Yeah.
pull up my shirt, and it's like my whole one side is just completely bruised, and he's just like, "Oh no, like cover
Yeah.
it back up."
Nope. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Freiberger is not can't handle blood.
he is not a blood and guts guy.
Nope.
And I'm
He
right there
also
with him.
not going to run or anything athletic. None of those either.
I can't handle too much. I can
That's-
handle a certain amount, but not overly.
Yeah.
Some
It's hard
stuff
to-
I just like, whatever. Some is like, oh,
It's hard
Nope.
to run in flip flops.
That's what I thought was funny. Is like he was selling a motorcycle this past week, and I'm like, he owns a motorcycle? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
He's got a couple.
Well,
Nothing as cool as our mini bikes, though. I'm telling you, they were the good time. The mini bikes were.
Yeah, that's the thing is that he's done the mini bike stuff with Finnegan a couple of times.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was some 500cc like enduro or something like that
Yep.
he was selling.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, it was cheap too, like $1,500 or something like that.
bikes are so
Then-
cheap. Sometimes I kick myself for getting into cars instead of bikes.
Okay, it's funny you say that, but like our friend Scott Payton, who used to be at Ride Tech, he has said to me on numerous occasions, because him and our buddy Michael got into the old Hondas, and they're like, you can buy a nice motorcycle, like a savable bike, and fix it up for very cheap in your basement or in your spare room or in your garage, whatever. And then you can ride it and enjoy it and then sell it and make money every time.
Yeah,
One of the
Every
most
time.
fun vehicles I owned was a
I bought
50cc
that one for
Yamaha
$2,000.
scooter.
yeah. Chad and me have a friend in Chicago named Bob Chillick, and
Yeah.
I've been to his place a couple times, and he restores the Honda like 50s and 60s and 75s, and I was kind of like, I didn't know this was like a thing. He's like, yeah, this is what I do in the winter. I come out here to the garage and just like restore one of these things,
Yeah.
and it's like, then I sell it.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what else?
what
you
kind of money? He's like, you don't even want to guess what kind of money I sell these things for. But yeah, these things are like better than new. I mean, full on, like he sends stuff off to advanced plating in Tennessee for the chrome plating on these things.
Right.
So it's like he's spending money
Oh, yeah.
to to have these
Well,
things restored.
Chad, what was that one Brett had? That was a 70, wasn't it? 70 or 90?
Yeah, CT70.
Yeah.
CT70
Those are sick.
and Scott has that one. He's done a bunch of work on it. But then
And
he's
Brett
built
is so not a motorcycle guy.
Oh God, no. But they've done Scott and Michael have do the it's like the 500s, the 350s, the 450s, it's those. I'd say like the 350 to 500 cc, where you could get them that were sort of the enduro, and you could get them that were sort of the street bike. Like there were the different variations based on how high the exhaust was and all. That's the ones that they've been doing, and they've ridden them all over Hellingon, and they're awesome. I'd love to have one. That'd be perfect, just as a cruise around bike.
Yeah, pit bike I'd be okay with, but motorcycle wise, I mean, I don't trust myself. I mean, I'll say that I don't trust myself on a motorcycle.
Yeah, we understand why.
You
If
look
you
like
get
a
one
packet
for
of
Christmas,
hamburger.
There's no roof
Yeah.
to cut off on a motorcycle.
No.
no. And if Amanda buys you a motorcycle for your birthday or any holiday,
and ask you to sign some
you should be
paperwork.
you should be afraid, because it means she upped the insurance. Yeah.
Yeah, she's probably listening right now, like, that's an
Uh-huh.
idea.
I know. That's why she and I have burner phone. I mean, hey, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, boys.
Ah.
Well, I hope that the people that are at home watching, I hope some of you at least thought about some of these things. There's a lot of different reasons to buy projects. I will tell you that, and people laugh when I say this, but like I own a 1955 Series 1 Chevrolet school bus, not because it was some insane deal. I mean, it was cheap, and I have a plan for it. But I didn't need it, right? It wasn't my all-time dream to own a 1955 Chevy school bus. I own that 1955 Chevrolet school bus that is 32 feet long for only one reason. And that is because when I said, ooh, I wonder how cheap I could get this for, and that number was something that I went, I'm in on. I also happen to own a trailer that could haul it. Because if I didn't own a trailer that could haul it, that would have cost me $700 or $800 or $900 to get it hauled to me at least. At which point I'd have been like, nah, I don't need it. But because I could hook the dually to it and drive there 2 hours and load it up and drive it home.
Well, that's
So
I
the
own a
thing.
1955
what
Series
did we
1.
gather from that, boys and girls? Don't buy a big trailer and don't buy a
I was
dude.
gonna say that's dangerous.
That's what I was
That's a lot of
what I was
trailers.
just thinking, but I'm like, I love both of these things. I'm not giving anybody that advice. They're
There's
awesome.
this M4 Sherman tank on Marketplace right now. It might be able to fit on there.
Yeah, see?
Well, that's the thing we didn't
Well, I
touch
don't know
about.
how heavy it is, but it probably more than this thing. But I don't know. But yes, I'd haul it. It's got drive over fenders.
Well, like shipping cars, I meant dealing with brokers, and you can have a car shipped. I meant for like cheap nowadays. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
I had my truck shipped from El Paso to Colorado Springs in an enclosed trailer for $500.
Yeah, you
Holder's
could-
a weirdo.
Do what?
Holder's a freaking weirdo.
He is.
Chevy Sprint Turbo.
And I mean
Yeah.
that affectionately, Richard.
Yeah.
He needs it to go set another record at Bonneville. So, all right.
That
Well,
was like 500 pounds.
yeah. Andrew, keep doing what you're doing, dude. And
Yep.
and thanks for being a part of the show today. We appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Yeah, pleasure
that was really
meeting you,
fun.
brother.
Yeah, we'd
Yeah,
love to have
pleasure
you.
meet you guys.
We'd love to have you back when you get to a point where you want to share the news on the car and hit some big milestones. Let us know, and we'd love to have you back for sure.
Would love
Yeah.
to, guys. That was really fun.
If
Oh,
you're
Oh, that's
down-
another. I totally forgot about. We share a mutual friend, Chad, Andrew, and me. Fred from 1320 Video.
Oh, no way.
Oh,
Fred
yeah,
is good people.
I just met him on Overcrest Rally in Arkansas. I actually, when the Subaru went over the mountain, he was there.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
Fred's
his,
good people.
His toe strap is what saved the day, getting my car off the side of a probably 400-foot embankment.
Wow.
Which I was totally surprised to see Fred in that video, and I'm like, I didn't know he was into that kind of stuff, because you always see him street racing or cash days or something,
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, that's another thing. It's just like,
He's also got like a really eclectic taste in cars. He's got some cool stuff. He's got
his dad's
Mercedes.
Corvette is awesome.
Yeah, that thing is sick, and like he drives it. He enjoys it, and like, you know, he does all the anti-Corvette stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool. No, he's super nice, and like he knew I was having trouble with the car, and he invited me to stay with him and stuff, and like, if you need anything, like, just let me know. He's like, I got lots of friends that can help if you need it. Like, he was super cool dude. Like, very grateful to have met him.
He's a really nice guy. He is. He's really a just down to earth, genuine. He's a lot more mellow than people would probably realize, you know, too.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And every day is his birthday.
Yes, every day is his birthday. I know. I love that. I saw Jet Black puts that in the comments. Happy birthday to Fred.
That's funny.
The reason that it's extra funny is because Fred and I actually share a birthday. He and our birthday is November 26th. We're like,
oh, sweet.
I don't remember, 13 or 14 or 15 years apart, but but you know, he looks pretty good for an old guy, so it's fine. All right, boys and girls, I appreciate it. Wickman, thank you for getting Andrew on the show tonight. Sean, Crosby,
thank you guys for having me.
Have fun, and
hopefully see you all around, and would love to be back sometime.
If you're in Cali, hit me up.
So
man, I'll shoot you a message.
Like, you're in the Denver area, passing through, buy you lunch or something like that. I got all kinds of places. So
yep,
definitely.
Dallas, Fort Worth, right here. So we'll see you for sure.
You got it.
All right,
sounds good, guys.
Brother. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.
All right, see ya.
See ya.